Welcome to Marathon Champions, the podcast where running legends Benji Durden, Bill Rogers, and Ron Tabb share their timeless wisdom on marathon training and inspire listeners with their wealth of experience. These champions continue to impact the running world today.
I'd like to welcome Dean Matthews, today's guest.
So you're in New Jersey, huh? Is that where you're from originally?
Originally from Lakewood, New Jersey, and the Jersey Shore, and then ended up at Clemson. That's a story in itself. And
When were you at Clemson?
got there in 73 to 77 undergrad, and then got my master's there also.
So I didn't race against you when I was at Georgia because I quit racing for Georgia before that.
Right.
Did they still have that kind of square track when you were there?
They had built one way out where now is the indoor track facility and the football facility. There's a big dike out there where Lake Hartwell is, and they built a beautiful 8-lane track. The problem is they tried to call it all weather, and it was definitely all weather, but we would call it asphalt.
Yeah. I raced on a few of those. I remember the one time I ran the Georgia State meet, it was an asphalt track. What do you do with spikes there? I mean,
right. And then all it caused was injuries.
yeah,
So.
like running a road race in spikes.
Yeah. Of course, after I left, then they got all the state-of-the-art facilities.
Yeah, I remember running there, and it was like 4 curves.
Yeah, I know. I lived right behind it because I lived in the KA dorm my first 2 years, which is a Jersey guy being put in the KA dorm. And if anybody knows anything about Kappa Alpha, that's the Southern gentleman. So you couldn't have anybody more opposite.
Oh, so hey, Dean, did you run in the 76 NCAA cross country championships in Denton, Texas?
Yes.
Okay, so that would have been the first time you and I would have run against each other.
Is that right? I didn't know you were there.
Well, I qualified out of Division II, and they took the top 6 finishers out of Division II to the Division I Nationals, which was just a couple of days later. And so it was quite an experience. I was the first athlete from my alma mater to qualify for the Division I Nationals, and that was quite an experience going down there and seeing. Coming out of Missouri and going down to Denton and seeing all those superstars. But if you look at that list, if you go back, someone posted it recently, the 76 NCAA championships, the results. And if you go back and even looking at going 200 deep, there are some big time names in that cross country meet.
Yeah, I agree. I think I forget. I finished around 50th, and I'm right next to Matt Centrowitz.
Yeah.
Right?
So.
And I made the mistake I think I could take him at the end.
Did you know who he was?
At that point, did you really know who he was?
I knew who he was, but not, I had never experienced that level of kick. Because, I had to pay my dues. When I was at Clemson, East Tennessee State used to come down and every year in a dual meet, and that's when they had Matt Leddy and Neil Cusack.
Ed Leddy.
And Neil Cusack.
Yeah, they were a dynamic duo.
Wow, they were like machine-like.
Yeah, I ran a few meets that they were in. I wouldn't say I ran against them. I ran a few meets that they were in. Although I did get both of them later on in road races, but that was a different life.
Yeah, our dual meets were crazy, like Western Kentucky. Forget that.
Yeah, that was Western. Boy, I went back there and trained with Dell Hessel, who was the coach. After I graduated, I went down and moved to Houston, and I was invited to for the sports festival. Remember the sports festival
Yep,
that they
yep,
had?
yep.
Yeah, so he was the distance coach, and afterwards, I uh, asked if I could come back and train with his group at Western Kentucky. Yeah, that's when they had Nick Rose and Tony Stanings, Dave Long, Dave Murphy. I mean, they had some studs there.
Yeah. I mean, it was a British stud team.
And a little
What year was the Sports Fest for you?
78,
Okay, you ran the
78.
marathon,
I did 78 and 79.
and you
Yeah,
did the
and the
marathon.
marathon. Yeah, which is kind of, you go up to Colorado Springs, and that was, I think there were maybe 10 guys in that in that marathon. That was just it was like going out for a training run.
I did it in 81. I did it because I was banned. So we ran Cascade, and they banned a bunch of us because we took prize money. And then they invited me to the Sports Fest. So because of the irony, I went and ran it. It was in New York. I can't remember exactly, but it was in New York. Ended up getting second to Pete Fitzinger, who did not. He wasn't on the Sports Fest team. He just ran it.
Yeah, there were a couple of guys. I know T or Tom Fleming, he came out, Ron Wayne, a couple of, I remember a couple of the guys. I'd have to go back and look at the results and see who was, who else
Why?
was. Yeah. Dean, did you do the sports festival?
No. I was after college. I had a red shirt in my indoor year, so I was a graduate assistant and ran indoor at Clemson. And then I had no team to run for, so I called Earl Owens down at Atlanta Track Club to see if I
Mhm.
could join their group. And because they had Benji, Lee Fiddler, um,
Bob Barsham.
Bob Varsha, yeah, and Jeff Galloway. Holy mackerel, right? When you look at that, that's a all-star team.
Was Dick Berkeley on? Did he run
No,
for them, or
he
was
was
he
No,
doing?
New York AC.
I thought he was running for New York AC. Yeah.
but he was down in Atlanta there for some time because he was working with Coke.
Yeah, he and I used to train together.
He was a great guy.
Oh yeah,
Great.
and he was brutal to train with. I could run with him for long runs, but I couldn't run with him very well. First, I mean, I'd hang on, but it just buried me.
Yeah. Well, you know who was brutal to train with in the morning was Mary, Ron.
Oh,
I'll never forget when I came to Eugene
oh,
and and you let me stay at your place for a couple weeks till we got an apartment. And I went on a morning run with her, and it was like, whoa,
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not warmed up yet.
yeah.
Well,
Did
Dick
it?
was like that too. And in fact, in 2008, we had a reunion of the 1980 team. And so we flew into Portland and we spent the night at a hotel there in Portland. And he's the night before, that night he said, let's go for a run in the morning. So here I am, in 2008, I'm, getting up there in age and, getting up and hauling ass the first thing in the morning is not exactly what I want to do. But so I say, okay, because I figure he's older than me. It won't be that bad. We were doing 650 out the door.
Who was this?
Berkeley.
Oh, okay.
I mean, he just, wham, right out the door. And sort of, okay, we got down like in the 620s. And, that's about racing pace for me back then. Fortunately, he didn't want to do as long. He did about an hour, and I ended up doing about 2 hours. So I had an hour to warm down. But yeah, Dick was like, I mean, he was all speed. He could run. He ran a 218 marathon, I think it was, and he'd do that every fall as part of his. He was a pretty strict Lydiard, and you do a really big build up, run a marathon, then shift into speed.
Yeah, I ran when I was in Atlanta. I ran with him time to time, not often. And it was interesting when I was heading to the Honolulu Marathon in '79. When I got off the plane, we had to get on this bus to the hotel. And
Mhm.
lo and behold, who's sitting in the first seat is Dick Berkeley. So, I sat next to him. I said, "What are you doing here?" And he said, here doing some promotional work for Coca-Cola. And that's when he, when we're riding there, he's like going, you could win this thing. That was,
And you did.
and I did. But, it's great. Sometimes you don't see in you what others.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, I've had that a few times. People tell me, "Well, you could win this thing," when I hadn't even considered that as a possibility. I mean, and it's nice for people to have that kind of confidence in you, but I guess
Right.
you need to have it yourself sometimes too.
Yeah.
Well, and I think, that's the big difference.
Yeah.
It,
Benji, weren't you in that 79 also?
Yeah, I was. I shouldn't have even started. I had a tender Achilles, and because I'd done well in '78, I was back again. I got second there in '78, and so I thought, well, I'll be able to fake it and get around with it. I think somewhere around maybe even before halfway, I had to bail. And
oof, it's a long
there's
way
a
back.
picture of the three of us, you and me and Ron, and it's in the dark. And we're running together. I think that might have been the last time I saw you two because I dropped out soon after that.
Yeah, that was a great field too.
Yeah. I mean, the Honolulu fields have gotten a little bit less great. They'll have like one or two people, and if that, everything now is focused on the mile, which is okay, but their mile is where all their elite athletes go.
Wow.
Yeah, you look at how our sport has evolved since those days. I mean, it was basically, I don't, Dean, who were you running? Were you running for? That's right, you were for Adidas at that time. So, I mean, the shoe companies, it was a kind of a reward, I guess, to take us, send us all over there. And then Benji, you said that afterwards you guys went to Maui. They took you guys over there,
Well,
or was that,
we
or
did
was that?
the first time I was there in '78.
Yeah.
I think they probably did in '79 too, but I was still in a situation where going to Maui wasn't really what I wanted to do.
Yeah. Yeah, so, but yeah, I mean, I know Adidas was real happy with what the outcome was because, um, you know, we were over there, Dean and I, running for Adidas, and the guy that brought us over is John Pennell.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
He was the vaulter, wasn't
he was a vaulter. Yeah, actually, world record holder at one
World
Yeah,
time.
record holder.
he? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, but. They just told us that, put everything on the room. So, yeah, we were at the pool celebrating, and I think my tab because we were putting, I think, Dean, wasn't your tab around $2,000 or something?
Yeah, we were at some bar at a after
At,
party, and yeah, it got way up there. And when the bill came, I said, "You need to talk to that guy."
Yeah. Oh, well, you laugh about the bar bill. The first time in '78, it was Cardong and me, Patty Catalano, I think Pinocchi, Herm Atkins. There was a bunch of us. It couldn't have been more than like 10 people, if that. And we ran up close to 2000 or yeah, close to $2,000 in desserts.
Oh wow.
Jesus.
But Patty could put away desserts, and so could Don. And I
Yeah,
wasn't bad. I could eat quite a bit of dessert myself at that time.
Patty
Yeah.
was great. She won when I won. She was quite a character, just
Yes.
full of energy and life, and you wouldn't know what was going on behind
No,
the scenes.
no, we had her and Dan. It was like maybe last year.
Yeah, it's about a year ago. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was just nonstop Patty Dan. We hardly had a chance to ask any questions.
Yeah, I think, of course, with Honolulu, the big moment was, you know, having you idolized Frank Shorter, and to be in the front there, and I knew Ron and all the others that were there, uh, and Fred LeBeau was on the press truck, and I could hear him yapping the whole time, going, "Frank's gonna win this. Frank's gonna win this. Who is this guy? Frank's gonna win this. Oh, Frank's gonna catch this guy." And it wasn't until we got over the last
Diamond Head.
Diamond Head and we're
Yeah.
heading down, Fred goes, "Well, I think Dean Matthews is going to win." And
What?
and what was cool though at the end, I go through the shoot, And at the end of the shoot was Billie Jean King.
Oh,
Or at the time, and she hugged me. She's like going, "Man, that's such a great feat. That was phenomenal." And I'm like looking like, "Man, you're like royalty."
so
So
how did that race develop for you?
Well, I was just heading out with everyone else. That's, as you guys know, it's a beautiful start. It was at 6 o'clock in the morning, and
I think it's at 5, isn't it? I
maybe
think
it's
Yeah, it was.
5.
I think
Yeah, it's like 5 in the morning.
But
it starts at
anyway,
5.
the only
Yeah.
thing that lit the roads was the fireworks.
Yep.
And, that was phenomenal. And then, we got out and we just started pacing. And then, I just decided to try to stretch things out. And I remember, Ron, you kind of went when I went, if I
I
recall
think
that right.
If I recall, you and I were in the lead, pushing, not really pushing the pace, just running, I feel like that's a survival race because it's so hot and humid there.
Right.
But I don't know where you pulled away, but I know that Frank was actually behind both of us at that time,
Yeah, somewhere in that loop.
I think it was around 16, 17 miles.
About in that ballpark. It's a Hawaii Kai, and you're doing this loop, head back to Diamond
Yeah,
Head.
yeah, yeah.
But I mean, I wasn't looking back. I was just kept, putting surges in, trying to keep moving it. And, I felt great.
Do you remember what your time was there?
It was
2:16:13.
2:16 and change,
2:16:13.
which
Okay.
at the time was a new record.
Yeah, that we had run I think Don had run 2:17 and I'd run 2:18 the year before.
Yeah, yeah. Frank caught me just before we were starting to go up Diamond Head. I wasn't sure where the finish line was, and we had had several races in '79 where he'd been down to Houston, we'd gone to Crowley, we'd been to Tulsa, and
Wow.
every frickin' race that we ran, he was one spot in New York. He was one spot in front of me. Tulsa, he was one spot. He was second. I was third. I was like, am I ever going to beat Frank Shorter? So,
Wow.
but and I thought I had him there, and then I wasn't positive where that finish line was, and I knew I was running on an empty tank, and he caught me going up the hill, and I thought, well, maybe I can catch him going back down on the other side of Diamond Head, and you're right there at the finish line by then. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now,
So
Yeah.
if you
You
wait,
got to make your move on that at the
on that
mountain.
uphill.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
you got to and that's where he made his move on me.
Actually, Fred LeBeau was convinced because I had taken water and I put the sponge over my head, and then I did a behind the back pass into the press truck and smiled at him and went,
Did either one of you guys? I remember, and it was on the way out on the right hand side. That's where the sidewalk was there. That there was this Hawaiian guy or lady, I can't remember, but it was like 300 pounds, and
yeah,
the person was almost completely naked. Did you
I don't
guys?
remember that.
I don't remember that either, but I
Oh,
was kind of focused on not running into
Yeah.
people. And
it's it's one of those things that you can't forget.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and it cost you a place.
No. So
but that was a unique race in that they had a prize for the last finisher.
oh, I didn't
How
know that.
bizarre.
Yeah, and people would go and they'd hang out under the bridges or whatever, where they could get out of the rain. And just hang out and just trying to figure out how they could, sneak behind people rather than be ahead of people. They were trying to hide from people. And it's still, I don't know if there's a prize, but they do mention who the last finisher was. And it was 15 hours, 15 and a half hours, I think, the last finisher for this one.
Oh,
Wow.
It
that's
just,
pain. That's
yeah.
painful.
And I have a friend who's, a large runner, but he's run a lot of marathons. But anyway, he he takes some money with him so he can stop at a Burger King.
Jesus.
And he stops and has a meal, then he comes on and finishes the race.
Wow.
It takes a lot of different mental reasons to do races like this. We were
Yeah.
doing it so we could place well and have fast times, and others just want to be able to say they did the race.
So, well, there's still a lot of people that go over, that
Oh yeah, well, the Japanese come there in droves. I mean,
I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of the people that we ran with back in our day, they go over, every year for the race. I know that. Oh God, I'm drawing a blank here. He's in San Diego now. He used to live in Boston. Tony Revis.
yeah. Well, Revis is
Oh, yeah.
there as an announcer.
Oh, okay, because I was
Yes.
gonna say he's there every year.
Yeah, he's there. He does the announcing for the Mary Mile, and he does MC things for some of the events they have.
Yeah, he was on that press truck too at that time.
Yeah,
So
that's Tony's gig. I mean, he's not he runs, but he's not a runner. And I mean, Jacqueline Hansen was there this year because it was the 50th anniversary of the race, and she was there for that reason.
Wow. I
Yeah.
wish they invite me back.
Well,
I'd go.
I've gone back a few times myself, but what I've gotten is an entry fee.
yeah,
Oh, God.
Well, yeah, it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, we thought about going this year, but I'd have had to get on the plane the afternoon of a chemo, and it didn't seem like that was a good plan.
Oh, man.
I mean, I don't think it would have been a big deal, but you have to plan for the worst scenario as well as the best scenario. And although I've not had any issues afternoons after chemo, getting on a plane possibly could be a bad.
Right. Yeah, you've been through a lot.
Yeah,
You're amazing.
I've about a third of my life now has had cancer involved in it.
Wow.
Since
jeez.
2003, I had prostate cancer, and I've had, you know, one cancer after another since then.
And still you're able to get out.
Oh yeah,
What?
I'll get in 70 miles this week.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that because the only one that really I had any symptoms was the colon cancer, but even that didn't really set me back much. I haven't, I'm aware that I've had the cancers because they've done the diagnostics and I've seen the reports, but I haven't felt anything.
Benji, you are amazing. No, I mean, Dean and I were talking yesterday. We were, kind of reminiscing over how it used to be. 5-minute miles were nothing when we were out out on a run. And now Dean was commenting about his what he does exercise now, and he's winded after a 5-minute walk. So
Well, I don't know about winded. I just can't. I can't go any further because I
yeah,
have some neuropathy that really triggers.
What is your neuropathy from? Do you know?
A lot of it's the SI
Okay.
area
Okay.
and the piriformis, and
Uh-huh.
it just goes up and down my body, and
Oh, that's not nice.
uh, but I manage it. I just can't do things that I would like to do,
Yeah.
that are aggressive.
Yeah, I mean,
But
I have neuropathy, but it's chemo-induced neuropathy. It's not that
uh,
bad. My toes, my fingertips are a little bit numb. And occasionally I'll get a hot spot on the bottom of my right foot because of the neuropathy, which I have to stop and massage the foot, and then I can go on.
wow, well, good for you.
Well, I mean, it takes like 2 hours of running before it starts showing up.
That's amazing.
But it's just we're all getting, but there aren't many of us still moving when you get right down to it. I mean, I saw that I think Greg Meyer has just had a knee replacement.
Oh, wow.
Dean's had three. Well, not Dean. What's his name? Out of Minnesota.
Oh, Dick Berkeley.
Gary Bjorklund,
No, no,
No, Dick.
Dick Beardsley.
Dick Beardsley. Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
Yeah.
Dick Beardsley's and the most recent one. He just got really infected. Had a lot of surgeries trying to get the MRSA infection that he got in there. And I think that's over now.
Wow.
But
We had a fun time when I was in Atlanta. We trained a lot for that one boss, the Duel in the Sun.
the 82. When did you
And
drop out? I saw you dropped out.
it was around Wellesley. And what happened, I was right there. And then I started getting a pain in my calf, but I was running through it. Then all of a sudden, I just like went down, like boom.
It,
And as it turns out, I tore the sheath in my
Ooh.
calf muscle. And like even the doctors are going, you know, that's that's not normal. You're supposed, that's what pain is supposed to make
Warn
you
you about.
stop,
Yeah.
right?
so
And it's amazing the power of your mind that you can still keep going. Like I didn't allow it to mentally get in my head until it finally told me you're not going anywhere.
Well,
so
that's like
that
compartment syndrome going and fixing itself.
Hmm.
Because you generally, when the sheath is cut, that's what they do for compartment syndromes.
Right.
But had
so
you had any symptoms before?
No,
no
no,
so
not at
so
all.
so that race though in 82, Greta Waits dropped out. You dropped out, Benji. I mean,
No, I was
Dean.
supposed to be there, and I dropped out before because I came down with the
Yeah.
flu.
Well,
Mm.
and then I dropped out of that race,
Oh, wow.
and all of us wore those new shoes that Adidas had, the Atlanta. Did you wear the Atlanta?
Probably.
Yeah. So I
Of
had,
course, if it was the latest, they wanted you in it. So,
yeah, and that was they brought these new shoes over that it was the web, and they were
Yeah, I
so
remember those
spongy.
shoes. I wore a pair just to see what they were like because I was working at Phidippides and I could just grab a pair and try them on. I didn't
Yeah.
like them.
I didn't like the first generation of them. They were,
right.
I
I
had
wore
never
the
been,
web in '84 in the Olympic trial.
yeah, I can't
That
remember.
was,
I can't remember. I can't remember what I wore at the trials. But anyway, but that shoot, because talked to Greta afterwards, and we felt that the shoe was too soft and just spongy. And I know I dropped out, and I had never been so sore after you guys. I used to, when I used to bounce back after marathons pretty fast,
yeah.
and it took me over a week before I could run normal again
Hmm.
after I dropped out of that race. My legs were just trashed.
Well, the
Wow.
heat was probably part of it, though. I mean, I'm sure the shoe had some effect, but that was just a brutally hot day, and the heat will make you recover slower.
Well, yeah, but I've ran in some hot races. I mean,
Yeah, I
Yeah,
love the heat.
yeah.
but
So
but that was even hotter than almost anything you'd run in, probably.
Beijing,
Well, yeah, Beijing, but Beijing, you also weren't running the same kind of times.
yeah, that's true. It's flat course
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, although Beijing, the problem there is at least the second year I ran
Hydration.
with fluids. Yeah,
Yeah, I was going to
hydration.
say hydration was
Yeah.
an issue.